The alien classroom was full of noise and movement, strange voices echoing across the large room. Aliens of many different races sat at long tables, each with shining tools and glowing screens. Their eyes, big or small, bright or dark, all turned toward the tall figure standing at the front. The teacher, an insect-like being with long antennae, raised its thin arms to silence the room. "Today," the teacher said, its voice buzzing like broken glass, "we will study the anatomy of the human species." The words alone brought whispers. Across the class, some students laughed nervously, others tilted their heads. Humans were still a mystery to many aliens. Some thought of humans as weak, soft creatures with no scales, no claws, no natural weapons. Others believed humans were dangerous, unpredictable, and stubborn. At the back of the classroom sat Ethan, a young human student who had joined the Intergalactic Academy only months ago. He was not the tallest, not the strongest, but there was something calm in his eyes, something that did not shake when others looked at him with doubt or curiosity. The teacher looked across the room. "We need a volunteer," it announced. Its antennae twitched. "A demonstration will help us all understand this strange species better." Silence. Chairs shifted, tails curled, claws tapped the desks nervously. None of the alien students wanted to come forward. They feared touching a human. They feared what they might see. Ethan slowly raised his hand. Every eye in the room turned to him. The whispers grew louder. "A human is volunteering?" One reptilian student hissed, "Why is he not afraid?" Another whispered with wide glowing eyes. The teacher tilted its head, surprise flashing in its compound eyes. "You, human student? You volunteer?" Ethan stood up. His voice was steady, calm, and clear. "Yes, I will demonstrate." The classroom, filled with murmurs. Some aliens leaned closer, others leaned back in shock. It was unusual for any human to stand so boldly in front of so many alien races. But Ethan walked forward without hesitation. When he reached the front of the class, he removed his academy jacket and placed it neatly on the desk. The aliens gasped. For the first time, many of them saw the strange, soft skin of a human's arm. "No scales, no fur, no armor, just bare flesh. How do they survive?" An insectoid whispered to its friend. "They have nothing to protect them," another alien said with disbelief. Ethan smiled slightly. He knew their thoughts. He could feel the heavy silence pressing down on the room. He turned his hand palm up and showed the lines running across his skin. He flexed his fingers slowly so every alien could see the movement of muscles beneath. "Look," the teacher said with excitement. "The human body is soft yet flexible. See how the tendons and joints allow such motion." But the aliens were still whispering, still confused. One feathered alien leaned forward with wide golden eyes. "One strike could tear that flesh apart," it said. "Then why is he so calm?" another asked. "Why is he not afraid?" Ethan's eyes swept across the room. His voice was steady. "Because being human means facing danger every day." The words sent another wave of silence across the room. The aliens had not expected him to speak. They had not expected such confidence in such a soft-looking creature. The teacher placed a scanning device near Ethan's chest. The screen lit up with the beating rhythm of his heart. The sound filled the classroom. Thump, 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 steady and strong. The aliens flinched at the noise. It was raw, it was alive. It was not the hum of energy cells or the steady rhythm of a mechanical pump. It was something different. His heart, the teacher explained, never stops from birth until death. It beats without rest, without recharge. This is the engine of the human body. The aliens were stunned. Some leaned closer, unable to believe it. Ethan stood tall, letting them hear the rhythm of his heart. His eyes were calm, his posture steady. The fear that the aliens expected never came. Instead, his presence filled the room with something heavy, something they could not describe. A reptilian alien whispered, "So fragile, but so unbroken." Another insectoid clicked its jaws. "There is something strange about them, something terrifying." The teacher looked at Ethan carefully, as if studying him not just as a specimen but as a mystery. "The human has volunteered," it said quietly. And in his courage, he has already taught us something. Humans are not weak because of their flesh. Humans are strong because they do not fear showing it. Ethan looked at the class. His voice, calm but firm. This is only the beginning. The words echoed in the silent classroom. Every alien could feel a chill run through their body. They had expected weakness, but what they saw was something far more dangerous. Human confidence. The lesson had only just begun, but already, the aliens understood that this human student was not ordinary. He had shown no fear, no hesitation, and that alone was more shocking than anything written in their biology texts. The classroom was still buzzing with whispers after Ethan's bold step forward. Every alien eye followed him as he stood at the front. His calmness was heavy like a weight in the air. His steady heartbeat still echoed in their minds. The teacher cleared its throat, its antennae twitching with nervous energy. Now, it said, the demonstration will continue. It looked at Ethan. Show us what makes humans human. Ethan nodded. He slowly rolled up the sleeve of his shirt. His bare arm was now completely visible under the bright classroom lights. The skin looked soft, fragile, and almost glowing compared to the hard scales, armored shells, and feathers of the alien students. A gasp spread across the room. One reptilian whispered, "No plates of bone on the outside." A feathered alien leaned forward. No claws, no natural spikes, nothing. An insectoid shook its head. This creature is naked to the universe. Ethan raised his hand slowly, turning it palm up. The thin blue veins beneath his skin pulsed gently with blood. He flexed his fingers, opening and closing them. The muscles stretched and moved smoothly beneath the surface. The aliens could not believe their eyes. To them, the human body looked like a fragile piece of art, soft and unprotected. How do they fight wars with such weakness? One alien whispered in disbelief. Ethan looked at them and said calmly, "This is simplicity. This is what you see. But what you see is not the truth." The words sent a chill across the room. The aliens leaned closer, drawn by the mystery. Ethan pointed to his own skin. "It feels soft," he said. "It can tear, it can bleed." His voice did not shake. "But it also heals. Our bodies close the wounds. Our blood seals the cuts. Our skin grows back stronger." The classroom went silent again. The aliens' jaws hung open. Their species had advanced technology for healing, but their own bodies could not repair themselves without machines or medicine. The idea that a human body could repair damage on its own sounded almost impossible. The teacher, curious, asked, "So you mean even if you are cut, you will not stay broken?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, we mend ourselves, we survive." One insectoid alien whispered, "Impossible." Another muttered, "Unnatural." But Ethan was not finished. He stepped closer to the table, placed his arm on the surface, and tapped the place where veins could be seen. The blue lines under his skin pulsed again, steady and strong. "Blood," Ethan explained, "carries life through every part of us. It moves without stopping, day and night, carrying strength, carrying oxygen. If it is lost, the body grows weak, but even then, humans find ways to keep moving." Some aliens covered their eyes, disturbed at the thought of liquid life flowing so close to the surface, so easy to spill. Others stared with fascination, unable to look away. A reptilian hissed quietly. "One, cut and they should die, yet they stand here alive." A bird-like alien shook its head. "Maybe it is not weakness, maybe it is something else." The teacher placed a scanner on Ethan's arm. The device projected an image into the air showing bones, tendons, and veins all connected in one complex network. The alien students gasped. They had never seen such a structure. Up close, the teacher's voice trembled with awe. So simple outside, yet so complex inside. Ethan smiled faintly. He could see their growing confusion. He could feel the storm building in their minds. He raised his other hand and pressed it against his chest again, his voice firm. "We are not armored like you. We are not sharp like you. But our strength is hidden inside. Our simplicity is our disguise. The aliens looked at each other, some unsettled, some impressed. Their minds were racing, their assumptions about humans were falling apart. The reptilian student leaned back with narrowed eyes. Maybe the weakness is only what they want us to believe, it muttered. Ethan lowered his arm and took a deep breath, his eyes scanning the room of shocked faces. His voice was calm, but heavy with promise. You think of us as fragile, but you will learn the truth soon. The teacher stared at Ethan with a strange expression. Its antennae twitched as it whispered, "The galaxy sees them as prey. But perhaps they are predators in disguise." A wave of unease spread across the students. For the first time, they began to fear the human, not because of claws or fangs, but because of the unknown hidden beneath his skin. Ethan looked at them. All and his final words of the lesson sank deep into their minds. Never mistake simplicity for weakness. The room fell into silence. Not a single alien dared to laugh. The human who stood before them had just shown them something terrifying. The truth was only beginning to unfold. The alien classroom was silent. Every student's eyes were still fixed on Ethan. The human had shown his skin, his veins, his beating heart, and his simple but powerful body. The silence was heavy, filled with fear and wonder. The teacher shifted its antennae and spoke in a buzzing voice. We have seen the structure. We have seen the movement. But there is one question, still unanswered. It turned to Ethan. How do humans endure pain? The moment the word pain echoed across the room, the alien student stiffened. Pain was not something they took lightly. To most of them, pain was something to be avoided at all costs. Their species had medicines, shields, and technology to reduce or erase pain quickly. The idea of choosing to feel pain was unthinkable. A reptilian hissed, "Yes, I have heard stories they say humans keep walking even when their flesh is torn." A feathered alien whispered, "Legends say they can scream, but they do not stop." An insectoid clicked its jaws nervously. It cannot be true. Ethan stood calm at the front. His expression did not change. His eyes showed no fear. He simply asked, "Do you want me to prove it?" The room erupted in gasps. Some aliens shook their heads in disbelief, some leaned forward with curiosity. The teacher's compound eyes blinked rapidly. "You would do this for us?" it asked. Ethan nodded, his voice steady. "Yes, if it will help you understand." The teacher hesitated, then placed a sterile training blade on the table. It was small, sharp enough to cut skin, but not deep enough to cause real damage. The classroom went silent as Ethan picked it up. He turned his palm upward, his veins still visible. The aliens leaned closer, their breathing shallow, their bodies tense. They did not know what was about to happen. Ethan pressed the blade gently against his fingertip. A small line of red appeared. The blood welled up slowly. The aliens screamed. One reptilian nearly fell from its chair, hissing loudly. A bird-like alien covered its face with wings. An insectoid clattered its claws together, muttering, "He is killing himself." But Ethan did not cry out. He did not scream. He did not even flinch. Instead, he calmly set the blade down, wiped the small wound with a cloth, and held up his finger for everyone to see. The red drop of blood glistened under the lights. "This is pain," Ethan said softly, "but it does not control me." The classroom was frozen. The aliens could not understand. To them, pain was the signal of danger, the call to retreat. But here was a human, choosing pain and standing unshaken. The teacher's voice trembled. You feel nothing?" Ethan shook his head slowly. "I feel it, it burns, it stings. But I decide what it means to me," the aliens whispered among themselves. "He bleeds like us, yet he is calm. He should be afraid, but he is not. This is not weakness, this is something else." The reptilian student slammed its claw on the desk. "Impossible. No creature ignores pain like that." Ethan turned his eyes to it and replied, "Humans do not ignore pain. We carry it, we endure it, and sometimes we even use it as strength." The words fell over the room like thunder. The alien shivered. The idea was terrifying. Pain as strength. Ethan raised his injured finger again. The bleeding had already slowed. His skin had begun to seal itself. We heal, he said calmly. It may take time, but we heal, the feathered alien whispered in awe. He bleeds. And still he heals without machines. The insectoid shook its head. This is unnatural. This is frightening. The teacher looked at Ethan with wide eyes. Why do humans accept such suffering? It asked. Ethan's voice was calm. Because without pain we cannot grow stronger. Pain is not the end. Pain is the beginning. The room fell completely silent. The aliens had no answer. They could not imagine such a life. They were protected, shielded, and guarded from pain by their own societies, but humans embraced it. Ethan looked around the classroom, his voice low but steady. This is why we survive battles. This is why we endure when others fall. Pain does not break us. It teaches us. It makes us fight harder. The reptilian who had doubted him earlier leaned back, its scales trembling. It could not meet Ethan's eyes, the bird-like alien whispered. He is not fragile, he is terrifying. Ethan stepped forward, his presence filling the room. His calmness now felt like a storm about to break. You fear pain because it controls you, he said. But humans fear nothing because pain cannot control us. The aliens could not speak. Their minds raced with images of human soldiers walking through fire, explorers stepping into danger, survivors rising after falls that should have ended. Them. The teacher's voice was almost a whisper. The galaxy has never understood you, it said. But today I think we begin to see. Ethan lowered his hand, his voice quiet but full of certainty. This is only the start. You have seen a drop of blood. You have seen a small wound. But there is more. So much more. Classroom felt colder. Every alien sensed it. The human standing before them was not weak. He was something they could not explain, something their science could not measure. And deep inside, each alien student began to wonder the same terrifying thought: if a human can endure pain like this, what else can they endure? The alien classroom was restless. The students whispered to each other in low voices, still shaken by what they had witnessed. A human had cut his own skin and showed his blood without fear. He had endured the sting of pain and stood tall, stronger than before. The teacher's antennae twitched as it looked at Ethan again. Its compound eyes narrowed with curiosity. We have seen how you endure pain, it said slowly. But there is another question. How strong are you, human? The word strong spread across the room like fire. The aliens leaned closer, their bodies tense with curiosity. Strength was something every alien species respected. They measured power in claws, in armored shells, in crushing jaws. But the human had none of these. His flesh was soft. His bones seemed light. How could such a creature have strength? The reptilian student hissed, "His body is too thin. He cannot be strong." The feathered alien shook its head. "He is soft. He will break under weight." The insectoid muttered, "Strength is not for humans. They only run and hide." Ethan heard their words but did not react. His face was calm, his eyes steady. He simply asked, "Do you want me to show you?" The classroom grew silent. The teacher hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, show us." At the side of the room was a heavy metal bench used for equipment. It was long, wide, and built to hold the weight of several large alien tools. Even some of the bigger students struggled to move it. The teacher gestured to it with one thin hand. "Lift that if you can." The aliens laughed nervously. Some whispered that the human would embarrass himself. Some believed he would not even try. But Ethan walked toward the bench, his steps calm, his body relaxed. He bent his knees, placed his hands under the cold metal, and tightened his grip. For a moment, the room was filled with silence. Every alien leaned forward, watching closely. Ethan exhaled slowly, then lifted. The bench rose from the ground with a screech of metal against the floor. Gasps filled the air. The human's arms strained, his muscles tightening, his teeth clenched. But the bench rose higher, until it was fully in his grip. The aliens froze in disbelief. The reptilian whispered, "Impossible." The feathered alien's wings trembled. "He has no armor, no claws, yet he holds it." The insectoid clicked its mandibles in shock. His bones should break, but they do not. Ethan held the bench steady for several seconds. His arms shook slightly under the weight, but he did not let it fall. Then, with controlled motion, he lowered it gently back onto the ground. The sound of metal hitting the floor echoed across the room. The classroom erupted into chaos. Aliens shouted over each other, their disbelief turning into fear. They had always believed humans were fragile. Yet here was one, lifting weight that many of them could not. Ethan straightened his back. His breathing was heavy, but his eyes were calm. He looked at the class and said, "We are not the strongest in claws, not the fastest in speed, but our strength is in how we push ourselves." The teacher's voice was trembling. "You should not be able to do that. Your body is not built for it." Ethan's lips curved in a faint smile. "Maybe that is what you think, but strength is not only in the body, it is in the will." The alien stared at him in silence. The reptilian student clenched its claws nervously. The feathered alien whispered, "If one human can do this, what can many humans do together?" Ethan stepped closer to the class. His presence felt larger now, heavier. He placed his hand on the desk and said, "This is only a small show of strength. What you call weakness, we turn into power. What you think is fragile, we turn into endurance." "You," insectoid alien leaned back, its eyes wide. "Then your species is dangerous, more dangerous than we thought." Ethan's eyes met its gaze, calm but firm. Dangerous only when needed, but strong always. The teacher tapped its long fingers. Against the desk, its voice low. "The galaxy has fought wars for centuries. Species with claws, with fangs, with armored hides. And yet humans, with soft flesh and bare skin, have survived them all." The classroom grew colder at those words. The alien students exchanged uneasy glances. Their thoughts were shifting. They were beginning to see humans not as weak prey, but as something far more complex. Ethan stood tall, his chest rising with steady breaths. His final words cut through the silence. "Strength is not about what you are born with. It is about what you choose to carry, and humans carry everything." The room was silent once more, but this silence was different. It was not confusion, not disbelief, but fear mixed with respect. The aliens now looked at the human in a new light, and deep in their hearts they began to wonder if this was only the beginning of the demonstration, what terrifying truths would come next. The classroom was still echoing with whispers after Ethan lifted the heavy bench. The aliens could not stop staring at him. Their minds were filled with disbelief. A soft-skinned creature had just shown a strength they thought impossible. But the teacher raised its hand, silencing the room. Its antennae twitched with curiosity. "Strength of body is clear," it said slowly. "But what about strength of heart?" The aliens tilted their heads, confused. To them, the heart was just an organ, a piece of machinery inside the body that pumped life fluids. It was nothing special, nothing worthy of attention. The reptilian student hissed softly. "His heart must be weak, exposed, easy to pierce." The feathered alien whispered, "Without their heart, they die instantly. It is their greatest weakness." The insectoid clicked its mandibles. "Show us, human. Show us this weakness." Ethan stood silently for a moment, his eyes steady, his face calm. Then he placed his hand flat against his chest. His fingers pressed gently against the rhythm beneath. "You call this weakness," he said. "But this is the reason we survive." The classroom grew silent. The teacher slowly picked up the scanning device once again. It hovered near Ethan's chest, and soon the sound filled the room. Thump, 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 thump. The aliens flinched. The noise was raw, living. It was not smooth like a machine. It was not quiet like the hum of energy cells. It was loud, steady, unstoppable. "This," Ethan said, his voice calm, "is the human heart. It begins beating before we are even born, and it does not stop until death. It never rests, never recharges, never pauses. Gasps rippled through the class. The reptilian muttered, "That is not possible. No organ can last without rest." The feathered alien shook its head. "If it breaks, they die. That is weakness." Ethan's eyes sharpened. "No," he said firmly. "That is strength. Because it endures, because it never gives up, because it beats through storms, through battles, through pain." The sound of his heartbeat grew louder, filling the alien ears with rhythm. Thump, 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 thump. It was as if the entire classroom was echoing with the pulse of human endurance. The insectoid whispered, trembling. "It is frightening. A machine can be turned off, repaired, replaced, but this cannot stop." Ethan looked at them all, his voice rising like a tide. "Our heart pushes us forward when our bodies fail. It beats when we are bleeding. It beats when we are broken. It beats when everything tells us to fall." The aliens stared at him, some with wide eyes, some with fear. For the first time they began to understand. The human heart was not just an organ. It was a symbol. The teacher's voice was quiet, almost a whisper. "Do you mean to say, human, that your heart makes you fearless?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, because as long as it beats, we rise again. Even when we fall, even when we are crushed, as long as the heart beats, there is hope." The reptilian shifted uneasily, its claws tapping the desk. "This is why humans keep fighting, even when defeated," it muttered. The feathered alien added softly, "This is why they are never truly broken." Ethan pressed his palm harder against his chest. His eyes scanned the classroom. His voice was strong. "We do not stop because of fear. We do not stop because of pain. Our heart is our weapon. It is our fire. It is the sound of life that tells us, move, fight, survive." The sound of his heartbeat seemed louder now, filling every corner of the room. The aliens could feel it inside their own bodies, an alien rhythm pressing into their thoughts. It was terrifying, not because it was dangerous, but because it was unstoppable. The insectoid lowered its head, whispering to itself, "Unstoppable, that is what they are." The teacher turned its gaze back to Ethan, its compound eyes filled with awe. "I see now," it said slowly. "The heart of a human is not weakness. It is defiance. It refuses to stop." Ethan lowered his hand, but the rhythm still echoed in the minds of the students. He looked at them and said softly, "This is why you will never see us surrender. Even if we bleed, even if we break, our heart keeps us alive. And as long as it beats, we will stand again." Tieno. Classroom was silent. No one dared to argue. The reptilian who had mocked him earlier now sat quietly, avoiding his eyes. The feathered alien pressed its wings close to its body in unease. The insectoid scratched the desk nervously, unable to stop shaking. Ethan's final words fell like a heavy stone in the silence. "Fear lives in your mind, but courage lives in our hearts." The aliens could not breathe. They could not speak. For the first time, they understood that humans were not fearless because they lacked fear, but because they carried something stronger inside them, something that never gave up. And as they looked at Ethan, they began to realize a frightening truth. If one human heart could inspire such terror and respect, what would happen when millions of them beat together on the battlefield of the galaxy? The classroom had grown heavier with every passing moment. The alien students no longer whispered with laughter, no longer mocked with disbelief. Now they sat stiff, silent, and uneasy. Their eyes stayed locked on Ethan, the human who had shown them pain, strength, and the fearless rhythm of his heart. The teacher shifted slowly. Its antennae twitched as it studied Ethan. "We have seen your body. We have seen your pain. We have seen your heart," it said, its buzzing voice trembling. "But tell us, human, what makes you truly different?" The question sent a ripple through the class. The reptilian leaned forward, with narrowed eyes. "Yes, what makes your kind survive wars against stronger species?" The feathered alien tilted its head. "What makes you rise when others fall?" The insectoid's mandibles clicked nervously. Show us what we fear to believe. Ethan stood calm in the center. His eyes moved across the room, meeting every pair of alien eyes. His voice was low but steady. Very well, I will show you what makes us different. He stepped to the side and pointed at a wooden staff resting near the wall. It was used for training exercises and biology displays. Take that and strike my arm, he said calmly. Gasps filled the air. The aliens stared at him in shock. You cannot mean it, the reptilian hissed. You will break your fragile flesh, the feathered alien whispered. The insectoid shook its head. This is madness. But Ethan only repeated, strike my arm. The teacher hesitated, its compound eyes blinked rapidly. Are you certain, human? Ethan nodded without fear. Yes. This is the ultimate demonstration. Slowly, the reptilian was chosen. Its claws gripped the staff tightly. Its scales glistened under the light. It approached cautiously, glaring at Ethan as if expecting him to run away. But Ethan did not move. He stood still, his arm outstretched, his eyes calm, his body relaxed. Do it, Ethan said firmly. The reptilian growled and swung the staff. The strike landed against Ethan's arm with a sharp crack. The sound echoed in the classroom. The aliens screamed. Some turned away, some covered their faces, but Ethan remained standing, his jaw clenched, his eyes steady. He winced for only a moment, then lifted his head again. The staff had left a red mark on his skin, but he did not fall. He did not break. The reptilian stepped back in shock, its voice shaking. Impossible. You should be on the ground, the feathered alien whispered. He took the hit. He did not cry. He did not fall. The insectoid clattered its claws in fear. This is not natural. This is terrifying. Ethan raised his marked arm for all to see. His voice was calm but heavy with power. This is what makes us different. We endure what others cannot. We take the hit and keep standing. The classroom went silent again. The aliens could feel their fear rising. They had expected weakness, they had expected collapse, but instead they saw defiance. Ethan stepped closer to the class, his voice deep and steady. Pain does not stop us, strikes do not stop us. Even when broken, even when bleeding, we stand again. That is why humans survive. That is why humans fight. That is why humans win. The teacher's antennae quivered, its voice low. So you take the force of the universe and still rise. Ethan nodded. Yes, because the moment we fall, we rise stronger. You break our bones, they heal harder. You cut our flesh, it closes again. You strike us down and we get back up. The reptilian looked at him with trembling eyes. Then you are never finished, never defeated. Ethan's gaze turned sharp. Exactly. We are not finished until our last breath leaves us. Until then, we rise. The feathered alien's feathers trembled as it whispered, if one human can stand like this, what would happen if thousands stood together? The insectoid hissed. It would be war unlike any we have seen. Ethan lowered his arm, but his presence filled the room like a storm. His calm voice struck the deepest fear into their minds. This is why the galaxy fears us. Not because we are strongest, not because we are fastest, but because we refuse to stay down. We are not unbreakable, but we are unyielding. The sound of his words echoed across the classroom. The teacher lowered its head, whispering quietly, unyielding. Yes, that is the human difference. Ethan's final words carried a chilling weight. You can break our bones, you can strike our flesh, but you cannot break our spirit. That is why we endure. That is why we are feared. That is why we will always rise. The classroom was silent. The aliens could not move. They could not speak. All they could do was stare at the human who had shown them the truth, and deep inside, each alien now carried a new fear, a fear of what humans could do when every strike, every wound only made them stronger. The classroom was silent. The heavy iron rod lay forgotten on the floor. Every alien eye remained fixed on Ethan. The human had endured pain, lifted strength beyond their belief, shown the rhythm of his fearless heart. and even taken a crushing blow without falling. The teacher's antennae trembled, its voice low and uncertain. "We have seen your body. We have seen your blood, your strength, your endurance." It leaned closer. "But tell us, human, what is the final truth of your kind?" The question echoed like thunder in the room. The reptilian hissed under its breath. "Yes. Tell us what makes you more than fragile flesh," the feathered alien whispered. "Tell us why your kind survives. The impossible." The insectoid clicked its jaws nervously. "Tell us the secret that makes us fear you." Ethan stood in the center of the room. His body bore marks of pain, his arm bruised, his finger scarred, yet his posture was steady. His eyes were calm, his voice low but strong. "You have seen our wounds. You have seen our limits. You believe those limits define us, but you are wrong." The aliens leaned forward, unable to breathe. Ethan raised his head, his voice echoing. "The final truth is this: humans adapt. We change. We evolve in the face of danger. Where others fall, we learn. Where others retreat, we endure. Where others die, we survive." Gasps filled the air. The reptilian shook its head violently. "Adapt? No species can adapt that quickly," the feathered alien muttered. "He speaks madness." The insectoid trembled. "And yet, I believe him." Ethan stretched out his hands, showing his bruised skin, his cuts, his trembling fingers. "You see weakness here," he said. "But every scar becomes memory. Every wound becomes a lesson. We do not fear change. We use it. It is why we are never the same enemy twice." The teacher froze, its antennae stiff with shock. "You mean, when you are struck, you return stronger. When you are defeated, you return wiser." Ethan nodded firmly. "Yes, that is why we are feared. Because the more you try to destroy us, the more dangerous we become." The classroom was filled with silence, but it was no longer disbelief. It was dread. The reptilian student whispered, "One human is already terrifying." The feathered alien shook its wings slowly. "But what of many?" The insectoid lowered its head. "If they all adapt, then war with them would never end." Ethan stepped forward. His calmness now felt like fire spreading through the room. "This is the final revelation. You cannot break us. You cannot erase us. We are fragile in body, but unbreakable in spirit. We are not the strongest, not the fastest, not the sharpest, but we are the most enduring." The teacher's voice was almost a whisper. "So this is what the galaxy has always feared, not your claws, not your fangs, but your will." Ethan looked around the classroom, his voice cutting like a blade. "Yes, because our will cannot be measured, our spirit cannot be broken. That is why humans have walked through fire, crossed endless dark, fought wars with giants, and survived." The sound of his words filled the air. Every alien could feel their hearts pounding. Their fear was not of the human's body, but of the truth in his voice. Ethan's eyes scanned the class one last time. His final words thundered in their minds. "Remember this: we may bleed, we may fall, but we always rise. We adapt, we endure, we overcome. That is what it means to be human." The silence after his words was crushing. The reptilian's claws trembled against the desk. The feathered alien's golden eyes stared unblinking. The insectoid clicked its jaws nervously but did not speak. The teacher slowly bowed its head. "The galaxy will never look at your kind the same way again," it whispered. Ethan picked up his jacket and slipped it back over his bruised arm, his posture calm, his steps steady. He walked back to his seat without another word, leaving behind a classroom that would never forget. The aliens watched him sit quietly as if nothing had happened, but in their minds a storm raged, for they had seen something terrifying and unforgettable. Humans were not just flesh and blood. Humans were persistence. Humans were adaptation. Humans were the unbroken heartbeat of survival itself. And as they sat in silence, one thought echoed in every alien mind. If one human can do this alone, what will happen when the galaxy faces them all together?